The southern shore, as it is locally known, is the easternmost coastline of the island of Newfoundland. It proudly reaches into the Atlantic Ocean and hosts some of the oldest settlements in North America, complete with colourful names such as Petty Harbour, Bay Bulls, Mobile, and Burnt Cove. Over 150 kilometres long, it is both bucolic and desolate. Hills that plunge into the forest valleys carved by salmon rivers sit against the rocky and windswept barrens, punctuated by fishing villages. A dramatic coastline complete with a long and textured history. This series celebrates the unusual, the courageous, and the quirky stories that seem to define the communities of the area. And while some are known by locals, the finer details are unknown to others.
It might be controversial to even include this story, well, two stories really, on account of some of the people saying Petty Harbour isn't really part of the southern shore. It really depends on who you ask. Some people say it's just its own thing. Some people say it's where the shore starts. In a lot of ways, Petty Harbour has a history and a rural identity that identifies much more clearly with the communities on the southern shore than with St. John's, so we'll stick with it. Just shy of being the easternmost point of the continent, Petty Harbour is a small community located 20 minutes outside the capital. Despite the proximity, it has always been a traditional fishing outport and in some ways was still quite remote until recent years. In winter, Motion Bay filled up with migrating seabirds in search of food. Traditionally, locals used this meager time of year to hunt birds and keep their households going. In the spring of the year, strings of ice floes and pack ice and icebergs rushed past the harbour, nestled in Motion Bay. The phenomenon brings in herds of seals and ushered in the annual seal hunt. One such spring in the harbour many decades ago, some men went out hunting and came back with much more than they bargained for. John Windsor Chafe, Jacob Chafe, and Howard, Jacob's son, went up to the Motion with a dog-sliding gun. When they reached the Motion, the birds did not fly. Jacob said, "Howard, go boil the kettle by." I'll go up to the pulpit and take a look around. Right there upon the ice floes, a polar bear he found. The bear stood on his hind legs, ready to make a start, when Jacob quickly fired and pierced him through the heart. This poem, sometimes performed as a song over the years, sometimes a dramatic recitation. Really, this is a sterling example of how history in Newfoundland and Labrador was often passed along through the storytelling and songwriting. Sometimes that was the only way to preserve a moment in time. If somebody didn't put it in a song, it might never be remembered. But by the time we ended up in the 90s, there was an entirely different way to capture a moment in time. There was another polar bear, came down on the ice pans, this time running straight through the roads of the community.
The big rock there just came on Richard's house and just looked right in the face. How did he react? Oh, he took off and I took off. I went in his house.
And when I looked out the window, I seen this big white thing out by the window. And I said, my husband must have Robin come here and look us out by the window. When he come in, it was a big polar bear. And when we got out the window and went out on the other side of the house, here he was going down over the bedding, went down over the bedding, and got right in the water and went on out through. I didn't know what it was. I couldn't believe my eyes. See a polar bear. It was the first time I ever seen one.
We got a real good look. Oh, yeah, that was a couple of shots I seen, no more than 10 of the other side of the harbour. A couple of hours when he come out the edge of the bank. Like.
Stop rolling around in the snow and just sort of drawing himself off. He's just getting in out of the water. Where he got into was kind of a rugged area on the rocks around there on. Got up on the snow bank, rolled around, and he walked out the shoreline and kept on going up towards woods. It looked like he headed towards Cape Spur, but not really sure, but in that general direction, heading north, right?
The polar bear scaring one poor woman who was hanging out her laundry before taking off up over the hill. It may seem unexpected to some, but it's what we've all learned to expect living on a rock in the middle of the ocean. John Windsor Chafe and Howard, they were thunderstruck. Jacob said to Howard, "Give him another shot." Howard quickly fired and put him in his gore. They put him on the dog slide and hauled him down the shore. Dan Windsor Chafe, the skinner, he gave the flesh away. Some said it was good eating, others just threw it away. They went to town the very next day, the flesh it sold quite good. Each one that put their dollar down just took it as it stood.